Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where I just loaded up the game and apparently we're in a trashing trajectory? Okay, sure. We're in a trashing trajectory now. That's definitely how words work. Well, we're just going to need to do something about that. So, whoa, that's way too sensitive. Okay. We're going to need to flip around to retrograde. And I forgot that I had already turned these back on as I was doing the credits yesterday. That was way, way too much power. We just need to slightly adjust this. Okay, so we're going to set this down to 1% thrust on one engine. We're going to burn retrograde here, and we're just going to change our trajectory here because it is very much not what we're going for. So, we need to position ourselves at the retrograde marker and just bring this guy right back in because we massively overshot it with that tiny pulse. Which is to be expected, but let's just dial this back in. It's very strange that our trajectory changed when I restarted the game, but, you know, what are you going to do? Okay, so here is us with an encounter again. And we need to just drop this on down. Okay, this might take a bit. We're about 70,000 kilometers at this point. And I want to drop this considerably significantly more than that. Now about 30 kilometers. This is going faster and faster. Okay, I'm going to take this down to like 15% thrust or so. 7,000 kilometers. Now I'm dropping this to about 5% thrust. And I think this is reasonably equatorial. Ish. We could maybe go a little bit normal here. Okay, I'd like to... Sure, we'll call this good. We will call this good. At this point, I want to go up to normal. I want to bring this up to about here. That should be normal, I believe, not anti-normal, if I remember correctly. So let's bring this around to normal, and we'll just dial that in a little bit. Keep in mind, this is at 1% thrust of a single engine, and this is crazy sensitive. We're a long ways out, and tiny, tiny changes have huge effects this far out. Okay, so we're over here at normal, in theory. It's approximately where we want it to be. Okay, that'll do. Now we could bring it back to retrograde and try to dial this in a little bit more, but it's gonna be challenging, I think. Even at 1% single engine thrust, it's gonna be challenging to get this where we need to go. Okay, so let's just very, very cautiously try to bring this in here. As soon as we're in position. Yeah, right about here. 95 kilometers? 78? 61? And it didn't shut off the engine. Okay. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I was just tapping Shift and then X as quickly as I could. That last time, the X didn't register. So we're going to have to pull this back. Because now we're on an impact trajectory again. And it would be interesting to try to come in like this, but that would be a terrible idea. We're not going to do that. So we just want to dial this back again. I wish that we could thrust limit lower than 1% thrust. Unfortunately, this is what we've got to work with. We're probably going to have to call it good here pretty soon. So let's just bring this back a little bit. Okay. That is 51 kilometers. I'm going to call that good. That is as good as we're going to get. So now we need to get up there. And we need to enter an actual orbit. So we need to follow this trajectory and warp to about here in about 6 years. So off we go. That will be absolutely fine. This will be a 6-year warp. It takes a while to get to Eloo. No doubt about that. But our periapsis here is reasonable. Hopefully, we're not actually on an impact trajectory again. That would be awkward, but I don't think we are. So this is fine. Our vessel is out of communication range. Yes, that is very, very normal. Cool. So we're just going to continue on out here. We have definitely progressed quite a while. If we go into mission elapsed time, we can see we've been at this mission for almost 4 years at this point, and we're just going to continue to go. Now, we would prefer that our encounter happen here at the apoapsis, but it's a little later than that. That's fine. We're still going to not have all that much relative speed, I think, here. Yeah, out here, our relative speed is 772 meters per second. Let's see what it looks like when we enter into the Eloo sphere of influence. It'll be a little higher. Well, actually, it might be about the same as that. Looking at our overall trajectory and how we pass over the line here. Yeah, I think it might be. So our periapsis is currently about a year away. Things are very, very slow this far out, of course. It takes a while to move around out here. Things are much faster in towards the star, so that's absolutely understood. Okay, time warp limited due to proximity to celestial body. Well, I want to warp to, specifically, here. That's in 71 days. Our vehicle is out of electric charge? What? No, it's not. We have electric charge. I'm not sure what it's talking about. Okay, we're going to continue to warp in to here. Weird, our electric charge was actually not generating while we were warping? Wonder why that was. I mean, we don't have a lot of electric charge through our solar panels at this point. We should not be out of electric charge from our RTGs. Yeah, we've got 15 years on that still. So that should be fine. So we should warp at this point to, like, here. This is in 2 minutes. And that will bring us into the Eloo sphere of influence. We're not quite there yet. Now we are. Beautiful. Okay, so we are coming in here. And we want to, right around here, and yeah, we can see we're not that far off of our destination. We want to come in right here at this periapsis, although we do not want... It's quite the tumble right now. We don't actually want to be there. Let's just hold attitude. Okay. We don't actually want to be thrust limited at this time, so we're going to reactivate all of these engines. We're going to want the thrust to wait. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we unthrust limited this guy. That all looks good. And now I'm going to recreate this maneuver node because I'm not entirely certain that it's going to be correct in how long it thinks it's going to take us to burn. It doesn't seem to always update correctly. So we're going to create a maneuver plan here, and we're just going to dial this back. Oh, that is really nice in terms of DV. That is really nice. Okay, let's just put this guy about here or so. That's an apoapsis of 56, a periapsis of 51. Not too bad. Just circularize it a bit. Yep, that looks good. And we're in a pretty decent inclination. We'll definitely want to change that inclination a little bit. But overall, that looks fine. Looks like we're not going to have a... We're not going to have an indicator of how far we are on the orbit. We'll have to do that from the map mode, but that's okay. This game is so buggy. Well, let's just get oriented here. Speaking of buggies, we've got our buggy here, and we are, of course, going to need to just land on Eloo. I don't know if we can even see Eloo from this distance. Eloo's very small. We probably can't, but let's just get oriented, and we'll fall down towards Eloo. We'll be able to see it fairly soon. Okay. Hi, Eloo. So we're now 18 minutes from our warp. Okay. Let's continue to go forward a little bit, or rather 18 minutes from our burn. There we go. And now we're 40 seconds. That is much better. So let's warp forward a bit. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... mark. Okay, So we're going to need to keep an eye on our burn in this view because we don't actually have an indicator of our burn progress here. Wonderful. Luckily, we don't necessarily need one, so that is fine. Now, I'm not sure how much Eloo actually revolves, but our target destination is currently in darkness at this moment, so that is understood. Let's just bring this on down. Just a couple hundred meters per second here. Also, I want to double check that our maneuvers didn't pull any hydrogen out of the center tank. It shouldn't have, but I want to double check that. For now, though, this is absolutely fine. Let's just get ourselves into position for this burn. Almost done here. Okay, I'm going to call this close enough. Oh yeah, that's really close. That's very circular. We're only off by like 600 meters here. I like it. That is not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, let's double check our fuel situation. Our fuel should be in a good state here, but I just want to make absolutely certain of that. It is in a good state. Okay, perfect. So that is fine for the moment. Now what we need to do is we need to warp until this guy is in daylight. I don't want to land on it at night. Okay, that's not bad in terms of the revolution. We are definitely retrograde. That's noted. Okay, so it's going to end up being like over here. We're going to have to do a pretty hefty inclination change to get there. Noted. We may want to do that inclination change like right now-ish. We know that it should be around here. Oh, time has paused, right. We know that it should be like around here. So let's just get an inclination change done here. This is not quite the inclination I thought it was. And we're just going to need to toss in a little bit of retrograde as well. And get that timing a bit different. I mean, even that's fairly imperfect. I don't know, maybe we should just do our inclination change as part of our approach. We are retrograde here, and that's fine. I'm not too concerned about it. Okay, what we should actually do in terms of our inclination is, I think that we should do an inclination change here. As I look at what we've got going on, I think we should do an inclination change sometime around here-ish. And bring this guy down. Tossing in a little bit of retrograde as well. That's a little too much on the retrograde. And change our inclination to be something a bit like this. What's that periapsis at? 17 kilometers? And even that, this is going to rotate like this, isn't it? Let's see. It's going to come out this way. Yeah, we're still going to need more than that if we're going to approach it like this. So we're going to need to head this direction, actually this direction a bit more. And then we're going to need some additional retrograde in there. And it'll end up being something a little bit more akin to that. Even that's, I think, a little too much. Let's dial that back a bit. That's a lot of retrograde. What? Okay, this is not the orbit that I want it to be. This is definitely not the orbit we're aiming for. So let's get rid of that. Let's start this over, and we're going to go this direct. Nope, we're going to go this direction. Then we're going to toss in some retrograde. That's better. Yeah, something kind of like this. So that's about 500 meters per second, but that'll get us a lot closer in terms of our orbit. Okay, let's align for that. That seems okay. We're definitely not in the inclination that I thought we would be, but it's okay. I just misread it. It's okay. No problem here. We'll just change our inclination a bit. This is going to head out this direction, so once we're over here, we should be in a pretty good spot to be able to bring that down. We're probably going to have to do a small inclination change for our landing burn, but that's okay. Cool, so this is going to be about a 24-second burn. We're just going to align for that, and this is going to be in about 13 minutes. So let's warp forward to that. Yeah, this is definitely looking much better in terms of the orbit. Maybe not perfect, but certainly better. Okay, so it's about 30 seconds away. We'll continue to warp. 20 seconds. 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, and over we head. Yes, we are in a collision course right now. That is not surprising. It's a pretty big change to our orbit, no doubt about that. And we're just going to target a periapsis of somewhere around, I don't know, 20 kilometers does seem pretty decent. Yeah, this seems absolutely fine where it's at here. So that looks good. Unfortunately, our maneuver nodes are broken, but, you know, that's kind of normal in KSP2, it seems. Okay, so we're just bringing this right on around, and let's push it out a little further than that. Sure. What are we at? 20 kilometers? That'll do. So we're going to need to warp a little further than this. Okay. And let's burn sometime around here. And we're going to go for it. So we're going to bring this down to about here or so. Thereabouts. That's just an estimate. Let's align for that. And then we'll warp over and see if we need to dial that in any. We probably will need to, but this will be relatively good. So specifically what we need to do here is we need to drive a rover in this biome, right? So this shouldn't be too bad. We've got about 6 minutes until this burn, and we'll warp over to that, and we'll see how much this actually changes in that time. Okay, yep, we're going to need to adjust this a little bit. Whoa, okay, I don't know why this just turned on us, but whatever. Let's bring this back. And I want to bring this up a wee bit to about there or so. There or so, for now. That'll do. And we've got about 20 seconds until this burn at this point. So that looks good. This is only going to be a 5-second burn. Okay, so we've got 15 seconds now, and we're currently only, 14 kilometers off of the ground. If we look at this, it's pretty close, no doubt about that. So we're just going to get ourselves a bit of a dogleg maneuver here, and we're going to head down in about 10 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, and cutting the engines now. It's not perfect, but it'll do. Okay, so now we're going to want to go into pure retrograde, and I want to be in surface mode. So this is, oh wow, gimbal lock. Okay, so this is the trajectory that we're on here, and as we approach here, we're going to be overshooting this a little bit, I think. That's what I'm attempting to have happen here. So the question is, can we see our destination point from this view yet? And the answer is no. We are in low orbit over the ice fields. I'm not actually sure what the biome we need is. It might be ice fields, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. So, for the time being, we're going to want to warp to somewhere around here or so, which is kind of the quote-unquote high point in this orbit. There isn't really a high point, but we're going to warp forward a little bit. Okay. This is definitely coming toward us here a bit, but I want to go to up here. So let's pull out of this warp. Let's bring this over to up. I'm going to make a slight adjustment to our overall trajectory here, because I want to slightly decrease our vertical speed. So over to up we go. We're also going to want to go into orbital mode and get an anti-normal burn here to go this way a little bit. We're going to need to do a slight correction here for sure. Okay, I'm just pushing this out a bit. That'll do. Now I'm going to go over to orbital mode and we're going to go to normal. So over to the normal position we go. Excellent. Because I want to bring this over just a smidge. Oh, this is target mode. Hang on. I want to be in orbital mode. There we go. Cool. So that's fine. We're heading over to the normal node right now. This impact is currently going to be in a little over a minute. That's fine. This is not going to... Why was this going to anti-normal? Okay. Well, I guess that's because we were in target mode. Well, that's very awkward, indeed. Okay, well, over we head. We're working on turning here. We can see our ground velocity is relatively high. It's a little higher than expected. That's because we're going over this crevice right now. That is fine. So we're going to bring this up as soon as we can. In fact, I'm going to get started on it. Ooh, hang on. That didn't go the way I was expecting it to. I was expecting it to go primarily this direction. Okay, this is the wrong way. We actually need to be anti-normal. Let's just bring this over to retrograde for right now. I'm a little concerned about timing here. So we're going to bring this over to surface retrograde. And we can see this is our target point at this moment. Okay. Let's bring this over to anti-normal. But we're going to burn kind of hybrid here. Why are we going this far this way? Can we go over here, please? Thanks. I'm manually adjusting the directionality of this right now. We need to be heading this direction a bit. And we need to be going up here. I want to rotate fast. Very fast. Okay, let's do a bit of a hybrid burn here. Okay, better trajectory. Over to retrograde. So we can see that this is currently about 17 kilometers away. We need to get into position here. I also want to go into resource monitor, and I want to move these guys over while we're turning here. Okay. This is going to be out, out. This is going to be in, out, out, in. There we go. And we need to be burning here right now. This is going to be out, out, in, and out, out, in. Like this. Start. Okay. So we are currently burning, and if we look here, we can see this is definitely still overshooting a little bit. Okay. I want to be getting rid of a lot of this horizontal velocity at this moment. So I'm just moving this back over here a little bit. Okay. I feel like we're overshooting this burn slightly at this point. Yeah, kind of. Kind of. We're still about 4 kilometers up right now, and we want to continue to progress this way a fair amount of time. I'm not quite ready to kill all of that horizontal velocity yet, and we're a little bit off on the overall trajectory here, but that's fine. I'm not too concerned about it. Let's just bring this on in. I'm just going to hold this attitude for the moment, and we're getting rid of this horizontal velocity. Okay, it's not perfect. Boy, this is 12 meters per second? With no horizontal velocity? That doesn't feel like it has no horizontal velocity. We need to be in surface mode. We're still in orbital mode. Get over there. Get over to retrograde. Yeah, we're going to overshoot this a little bit. That's fine. That's part of what the rover is for, is to make it so we don't have to be perfectly accurate on this. And we needed the rover for this mission anyway. So yeah, we definitely shouldn't have been in orbital mode there. That's fine. And I'm just going to commence a slight burn here to help us turn. There we go. We should probably overshoot this a little bit. Yeah, about like that. And let's get started turning over to retrograde. Okay. This looks approximately correct. We, of course, are going to need to head down quite a ways. No doubt about that. And we'll be a couple kilometers off. We could absolutely try to dial that in more, but there's not really a point, since we can just rover our way over there, right? So I'm not too concerned about that one. So we're currently about 1 kilometer off of the ground here, and we're going to need to decelerate a little bit. I'm just going to start a gentle deceleration here. This is extremely gentle. We're burning at 7% thrust. I don't want this to be too much deceleration at this time. We're still reasonably high up. Okay. So we're down to 1,100 meters of ground altitude at this point, moving at about 27.8 meters per second. I do want to increase our deceleration speed a bit. We're at 900 meters now. Let's bring this down to somewhere around 10-ish meters per second. Okay, cutting the throttle again, and we're just slowly decelerating. I think we're decelerating a little too quickly. I'd like to get this down to about 5% thrust. 5% thrust is too little. %7 thrust? Yeah, that feels about right. Okay. Surface velocity is very slowly going down at this point, and we are also very slowly going down. So that was definitely a bit of a comedy of errors on the approach vectoring there, but it's fine. We are absolutely in a fine situation here. We are going to be landing about 2 kilometers away from that target location. We could have dialed that in closer, but I really don't see a point. Assuming that the rover actually works. But according to our testing, the rover should work. We're still cruising down at about 9 meters per second here. We are slowly decelerating. We've got about 350 meters to go, so a fair amount of time here yet before we touch down, and this is looking reasonably fine. I'm fairly content right now with our deceleration, although I may tune that up to 8% thrust here. %8 feels like it's too much. 7% thrust. We're 180 meters up right now, moving at about 6 meters per second. Cool. 140 meters up, moving at 5 meters per second. This seems pretty safe, and this is a very flat-looking area, so I think we're fine here. 3 meters per second. Okay, we need to drop our throttle a bit. Let's bring this up to around 4-ish meters per second. Okay. Now we're going to slowly decelerate here. We're kicking up regolith, moving at 3.7 meters per second. Going to 9% thrust, putting us into up. And we are touchdown. Are we able to hold this attitude? I believe so. Let's let this settle. Okay. It's definitely going to need to settle for a bit here. We're rocking, but our SAS should have this under control. Okay. I'm going to make a save here, but yes, this is solidly under control. And next episode, we are going to head on over here in our rover, which should be fully functional. Hopefully. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.